And we are back again with another Learn and Grow Snappy Chat. I'm Christine Bell. I'm so happy to be here. I've been doing these chats for a year and 7, 8 months now, and I'm loving them every single Wednesday. And I always have amazing guests on, and today is no exactly the same. I've got Simon Bowden. He's a very good friend of mine. I've known him for several years in Australia. He is fantastic at sales and marketing. In fact, we were just having a conversation around it, and I almost forgot to go live because I was just so intrigued myself. So we're going to bring him on board. We're going to learn lots more about what the challenges he has faced in business and how we can all learn and grow together, because I do believe most of us in small businesses have similar challenges, and why not learn and grow together? It becomes a lot less lonely and a lot more around co-creating. And we got Mike Aschenbrauner in the house. If you don't know Mike, you need to reach out to him. He is the leader of the House of Business community. He is amazing. Definitely reach out to him. So let's bring on Simon as well. Hello, Simon. How are you? And thank you for being my guest again.
Hey Christine, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. And we've got your beautiful wife, Naomi, on here too. So hello, Naomi. You're going to be on next week, so we're going to meet her then.
Fantastic.
How are you going?
Fantastic, I really am. I'm loving life and enjoying the journey.
Fantastic. Now, I've known you for, I think, 3 or 4 years now in Australia.
Yeah,
You're in Melbourne, I'm in Sydney, but we have met several times.
yeah,
Now, you have been more than 30 years in what you're doing as a fantastic business, sales, marketing coach, whatever people want to call you. But tell us a little bit more about what you're passionate about and how you help businesses.
yeah. Look, thanks. That's a great question to start with, Christine. Years ago, I used to be a graphic designer, and I had my own business. And I found that a lot of people didn't understand the marketing space. And I was never, even though I was trained as a graphic designer, I never sat in front of the computer as such. And so what I was basically the business development for the business. So I was out seeing my clients on a regular basis every day, and I finished up sitting down with them and trying to understand why they needed certain marketing materials. And rather than being just an ordinary graphic designer and asking for the logo, asking for the text, all those sorts of things, it was more sort of drilling down and asking them why they needed certain items. So that's basically where the coaching started, and that's what I'm passionate about today. And I've built my business, and I'm very happy of where I'm sitting at the moment.
Wonderful. Sorry, you just cut out, so I accidentally spoke over you. So, because I couldn't hear. But yes, what I'm hearing is you became a really good researcher in terms of having
Yeah,
conversations with people and actually finding out what they need, what they're feeling, what they're
correct.
looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very important, Christine, to understand or to build rapport, not only just to build rapport, but to understand exactly what their challenges are.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so obviously you've been in business for a long time, so I'm sure you've had plenty of challenges over that time. What is one of the key challenges you faced yourself, but you also see in the businesses you work with that we can talk a bit more about? Because I know what you're going to say, but I also know it's really, really important for all of us.
Yeah, look, I think one of the biggest things that I've found recently, probably post COVID, is a lot of people have found or have lost the art of prospecting new clients. They've resorted to uh, technology, i.e., email, and have become very reliant on trying to send out emails. And of course, what happens is you send emails out to prospective clients, and of course, they don't get any response back. So therefore, they say, "Oh, well, that's fine. I'll go on to somebody else." But they've lost the art of trying to build rapport with the client. So um, most sales professionals dread that first interaction with a prospect because they don't know what sort of reaction they're going to receive. And they fear that contact will end in rejection, and it might even actually infuriate the person that they're trying to contact. And as we both know, fear is one of those things that we all suffer from time to time, and it limits us. It causes extreme anxiety, and with a fearful mind, you cannot think clearly, and therefore have a meaningful conversation with a prospective client. So, interesting enough, I did a half-day sales seminar with a client last week, and there was about 30 odd salespeople in the room. And I got them to put their hand up and actually try to identify a few key areas. And believe it or not, more than half actually put their hand up and said they fear contact with the first prospect. And I thought that blew me away.
I
Absolutely
can
blew
relate
me
to
away.
it.
Yeah,
I can totally relate to that because it's funny. It's this thing of how it's brought up, maybe in Denmark, maybe it's other places too, that I don't want to disturb people. I don't want to make people upset or anything. And everything in my own business, especially when I started working with small business owners, my biggest challenge was to constantly overcome that fear in terms of reaching out, not thinking I was, annoying people, not thinking they were going to be, not want to hear from me, etc. All those things constantly in terms of putting myself out here. Do people actually want to see me, hear me? And
yeah,
also contacting people and sending emails. And even with my MailChimp, yeah, I'm like, because I know how I am if I receive, these emails every single day from people. I'm like, oh, please don't do this every single day, yeah? And
yeah,
I think kind of me is like, gosh, if I'm reacting this way, possibly they're reacting the same way, but it's actually stopping me from sometimes, just going for it in terms of saying, hey, this is what I have to offer. Are you interested?
yeah. I think the key is, and one of the things that I was teaching last week was try to be different. Think about from the point of view that, let's say business coaches. There must be hundreds of business coaches out there at the moment sending emails to prospective clients. Well, why would I want to do that? Why wouldn't I just come up with something totally different?
Good point.
You know, a few years ago, I made an appointment with a prospect, and what I did is I told them to stand on the corner of Elizabeth Street and Latrobe Street, and I actually picked them up in a limousine,
Very
and
nice. That's very cool.
and we had our discussion in the back of the limousine while the limousine was actually driving around the city. And yes,
Hopefully you landed that person and it was
I was
worth
going to say,
both the price of the limousine, yeah?
but it comes down to cost of acquisition, Christine. If you get your client excited about what you do and how you do it, straight away getting picked up in a limousine is a point of difference, isn't it? So,
Totally. I'll be like, what the heck is going on here?
and
What did I sign
yes,
up for? But intrigued.
I did pick up the client, and yes, we had a fantastic relationship of which I still do some work with them years
Wonderful.
later. What is it, 12, 13 years later? So the thing is, it's trying to think outside the square, not puffing your own chest out of how good you are. It's about contacting them and listening to what challenges they have
Yeah.
and addressing those.
Absolutely. And there was one thing that we were talking about just beforehand, which really resonated with me. This whole thing with the lockdowns, I think it actually gave us an excuse also to, got us back into a comfortable space where we didn't have to reach out, we
Yeah,
didn't have to go to networking events, we didn't have to show up with people we didn't know and be face to face with them, yeah? Which
yeah,
kind of like a nice wall to avoid rejection, yeah?
yeah. And I think that's why I opened up with my statement when I said I think a lot of people have lost the art of prospecting because they sit back in their comfortable, familiar surroundings, and they sort of think, all right, well, I'm going to do a little bit of prospecting today, and they send 3 emails.
Yeah.
Well, that's not prospecting.
And we need to do a lot more, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you want a successful business, yes.
And you know what exactly, and this is another fear sometimes we can self-sabotage because actually we are a little bit scared to step into our business being successful potentially, yeah?
Yeah,
Because
totally.
what does that say about us? Are we ready to stand up and know that we're successful, or do we want to stay in a limiting belief thinking that we're not so good so we can keep being the victim, yeah? Who
Yeah,
knows? But one thing I was going to say is the whole thing in know, like, and trust. We all say this, many people say it on LinkedIn. You see everyone going, know, like, and trust, and it sounds so easy, yeah?
yeah,
I often find that people get how to like maybe become known because you can do that quite comfortably by putting yourself out there with all your videos and stuff. And the trust we kind of get to, that we need to build trust, and we hope we can do that through possibly LinkedIn, etc. But the little part in the middle, no one really ever talks about the likability, yeah? That we have to
Likability.
be
Yes.
likable, because that comes back to how do we feel about ourselves as people, as a human being. And I remember when I worked for agencies, I was a lot more comfortable presenting because I was in an agency, so I represented them. It wasn't me per se. And I was talking to people who already knew the jargon within the big companies. When I suddenly had to stand on my own 2 feet and started doing presentations at WeWork through my own networking events, I was so scared because it came down to, do they like me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do I like myself?
Yeah. And that's what it is, actually. It's not do they like me, it's do I like myself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you hit the
That's a
nail on
big
the
one.
head. I think you were saying before that people are scared of getting outside their comfort zone, and for that fear of the unknown. But you know what? For those that do actually really put themselves out there, all of a sudden, they look back after a week or after a day, after a week, after a year, and sort of go, well, why didn't I do this 5 years ago?
Yeah. And this comes back to our dreams, doesn't it? In terms of, I'm just going to say hello. We got Nani, we got Jason, we got Kishore, and I think we have Tommy here as well. So I'm just saying hello to people here. But coming back to this dreams, yeah? Are we ready to go for them? Or are we going to end at the end of their life going, I should have done? Because the one thing when you
Yeah,
read about what people regret when they're dying, it's
yeah,
usually that they didn't pursue the things they were scared of, but they really spoke to their heart, their dreams, yeah, whether it's business or something else.
yeah. A lot of people have said to me in the past, because I've got a very good client list. And a few years ago, I even had Shell Petroleum, a big organisation. And people used to say to me, how did a small person like yourself get a big client like that? And it's like, well, I knocked on the door. I went in and I talked to people. And I picked up Jetstar the same way, the airline. You've got to get out of that comfort zone of thinking that these big clients, oh, I'm not going to contact a big client because they'll have an agency or they'll have a lot of people working for them. They won't need someone like me. But believe it or not, they do. And no one contacts them because of everyone thinking that they're being looked after.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me? I just saw someone saying they can't really hear me.
Yeah, no, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So hopefully everyone can hear me on here. I'm going to try and speak into the mic. I'm too scared to change the audio because then probably no one can hear me when I play around with technology. So in terms of prospecting more and getting out there more, how do we overcome this challenge besides hiring a limousine and being different?
Well, being different is number one, but I can't help that. That's just in me. But the big key thing is nobody does research. The key thing for anyone that is in a sales role or prospecting for a new business or even an existing business to build your client list is to research your ideal client. Okay. What does your ideal client look like? Who are they? Where are they? How do you talk to them? What's going to engage them? And if you can work out some of those things, what's going to be the key element that is going to get them across the line, then start to do your research. Start to look on who are they, where do they hang out? So are they on LinkedIn? What other things do they do? Do they go to networking events? How am I going to get an opportunity to talk to them? Do some of this research because a lot of people think that, oh, look, I made an attempt to try to talk to that person. They weren't really interested, so I'll take them off the list. Well, they've made one attempt. In most cases, you've got to have 5 to even 10 attempts to try to get that person on thing. I call them touch points. It might be an opportunity to talk to them first off, but then you may send them an email with something that might be of value to them. Then you might connect them with somebody that they might want to connect with. Then you might send them an article that you found that might resonate with perhaps one of the challenges that we're facing. Okay, so you start to build up to become that person that is almost a go-to person for solving problems. And when you become that person, all of a sudden, all of these people start to want to be around you and associate with you because you help them.
And they remember you.
Yes, absolutely.
Because in a busy world, we think, oh my goodness, I had 200 people, I'm making it up, liking my post today, yeah? The reality, and at the end of the day, they may remember a slight bit of what they read, possibly not, and they most likely will not remember it was you.
Exactly.
So you got to build up value, like you said. It's all about adding value in a way that isn't too in their face, where they can then come back to you and you build that relationship. What I'm hearing you saying, it's about building that relationship. And then they remember who you are and what you do. And that is so true.
Correct. You become that go-to person that eventually on about the 5th or 6th or even 7th touch point that they actually ring you and ask for advice. Okay? And that's when you know you've got them.
Yes. Now here's my challenge here, because I'm not saying I'm a fantastic at sales. I wish I was better at it, and I'm learning, yeah. But sometimes I become so good at adding free value that sometimes they forget. I don't know how to change it from free value to making a sales, actually getting paid for it.
Yeah. You and I can have a good talk about that. Happy to help you with that, because the problem is a lot of people think that by adding value that you're softening the deal. But in actual fact, you're taking away from your margin in some cases, to the point where your value adds actually outweigh what your original offer is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a really fine balance between because you want to add value, but you don't want to take away to the point where they think, well, I don't need to pay for it because I've already got what I needed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm helping a client at the moment that basically got through $1 million sales for the first time, but really, she was absolutely, excited to get through that first barrier of $1 million. But at the back end, the margin was so small, it only represented about 2%. So even though we got through the $1 million, the 2%, we've got to relook at the business because it's not going the way that we wanted, because she was giving away too much. And now she sees that come back to bite her.
And I think it goes back to likability again. Sometimes just to be liked will give away everything. It's called people pleasing, and I'm definitely someone who is a recovering people pleaser, yeah?
Well, people pleasing doesn't build a good business.
Nope.
That's all I'm going to say.
It does not, and it's a big learning for someone who, like me, who's have learned to be liked through people pleasing, yeah?
Yeah.
Or thought I needed to people please to be liked. That's probably the mind shift that has to happen.
Look, absolutely. It's not about people pleasing. It's about, at the end of the day, you've got to address your potential clients' needs or challenges. And if you do that, it's not about whether you like the person or not. If you're meeting their needs and challenges, they're going to accept you anyway.
Yes, that is very true. That it's all about actually helping people get from A to C. We're not necessarily here to make friends, although we do want to be likable because we prefer to work with people we like, if it's face-to-face at least, or personable. But it's about actually adding value in a real way.
and getting back to email again, sorry to jump back into that technology, but email does not build rapport.
No.
Okay, I don't care what anybody says. You've got to literally meet with somebody. I try to meet with them, have a cup of coffee with them. I even have I have a little competition with myself to meet with somebody for half an hour to 45 minutes, have a coffee chat, and during that time, not to talk about myself, just to totally concentrate on the other person, ask them lots of questions, because if you do that, at the end of that meeting, they're going to turn around and go, you know what, Simon actually understands exactly what I'm going through. So you've already built that rapport, you've already built that understanding with that person. So therefore, when you say to them, look, I'm going to follow you up with a couple of emails that I'm going to send you, which are going to be, some advice that I'm going to send you to help you with some of those problems that you mentioned.
Yeah, but you don't give so much away that they don't need you. You just give them a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, just little touch points, okay? At the end of the day, you don't give away your IP, because otherwise, why are they going to hire you?
Yeah. And there's a really fine line there between giving away good value, but don't give away your IP. And that's definitely been a big learning experience for me. And I got Mike Asher-Brown. I actually came to one of my free events, and he's like, this is great, but you're giving it away. And I knew I was giving away too much when I had, a follow-up meeting with them, and they showed me all the screenshots they've been doing.
Yes.
Of my IP. And I'm like, learning.
Yep. Yeah. And well, the other thing is too, you can give away little bits and pieces, okay? Because at the end of the day, you need enough to be able to say, here's your challenge, and here's how we're going to solve it, okay? You can paint a picture for the client or the prospect, okay? But you're not actually telling them exactly what you do and how you do it.
Good point. There's a lot of psychology and a lot of very important. I hope people are all listening to this, because this is so important. So keep talking.
So therefore, when they hop in the car after the meeting, they're driving away, and in their mind they're saying, oh, okay, I know how to do this. But in actual fact, they don't know how to do it, because they weren't given the tools to be able to do it themselves. Okay, they still need you to be able to implement it for them, or to coach them with it.
That's such a good point. And your lovely wife says, unfortunately, one of the fallouts from COVID is that people have become so closeted, they're hesitant or simply too lazy to get out and meet people face to face. True. How often do you meet people face to face? Because there's some people where I go, is it worth it or not? How do you measure that?
Yeah. Look, I think a lot of people say to me, is it worth networking? I love networking. Personally, Naomi and I, we love networking. We love getting out, meeting new people, because it's
Isn't that how you met too?
Yes, we met networking. That's right. I asked for a referral, and bang, there she was.
And now you're married.
Now we're married, yes. And we've spent, great time together. And of course, she's a graphic designer, and we're both very aligned in our industry, so it works very well. But we find when we meet people, it just adds another person to our bow of being able to. We met at probably one of our last networking events. We met a patent lawyer. And believe it or not, one of my clients needed a patent organised, so I've put the two together. So I'd only just met that lady, and all of a sudden, I've been able to refer to her. So it's really, really important to get out there and meet new people, because you just never know how you can tap into their client list, and or you can actually help them as well.
Such a good point. And I would love to keep talking with you, but we are going to finish up and not give it all away, because we want them to come to you to talk rather than just give away all the great gold nuggets. But thank you for everything you shared.
That's
just before we go, how can people reach out to you? How can they connect with you, etc.?
You can either
coming up, feel free to share too.
That's okay. You can either contact me via my LinkedIn, And I think you've got a couple of links there for my LinkedIn. So thank you, Christine. Or you can simply just go to my website, and it's very easy. It's just www.simonbowden.com.au. Happy to chat.
Perfect. And I think in the write-up as well, there's your email in there as well. So I had to shorten it because LinkedIn and StreamYards are being difficult around how much you can put in right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was really fun to talk to you again. And yeah, I can't wait till next time to catch up when you're in Sydney, hopefully soon.
Oh, I'm in Sydney in 2 weeks. I come to Sydney every month at the moment, probably a couple of times. So I'm pretty much fully booked next visit, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to reach out and we'll catch up for a coffee.
Sounds fantastic. And Mike Asherbrown in America says he would really like to connect with Simon, with you. So you definitely, he's probably going to send you a LinkedIn request.
No problem.
All right, take care. Thank you so much. And next week is Naomi is coming on next week, so the wife is on next time.
Don't miss.
Don't miss it. Thanks so much for your time. Take care, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Bye.